it happened at the Capitol, but I'm saying it also happened in the BLM protests too. So it's happening to both sides being infiltrated for sure. So there is some toxic waste in there, which is Antifa people or whatever that are just want to cause mayhem. It's like in Batman when the Joker's burning all that money, and then Alfred's like, Master Wayne, some people just want to see the world burn.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Civil Disagreement. My name's Kevin Beers, and my co-host Michael Green is with us. Today, we are going to talk about the past week's event, and just put it into context. Congress was called together to certify the Electoral College vote, and in the process, there was a rally of Trump supporters, and there was a break-in into the building, and those were the events of the last week. So we're going to talk about that. Today we have a guest on our show. His name is Chris Stout, and give you a little background on him. He grew up in basically a middle working class family. He became a single dad at a very young age, and basically joined the workforce at that time, doing multiple different jobs, from roofing to being a waiter, fixing cars, just a multitude of different things. In his life, he had a motorcycle accident in which he broke his neck, and it took him out for nearly 9 months, and he had to come back from that. And during that process, it steered him to becoming an entrepreneur, and he's now in the financial industry.
But what I'm saying is, this is an experienced man, ordered a deal. That's his template, though. He has more businesses and made more money doing that than, I mean, look at University, Trump Steaks. He has businesses that are not real estate. Okay. And he's done that tactic on all those businesses. And you trying to tell me he's 50 something years old and he hasn't figured out a way to take a actual idea, convert it into a project, and get it done without blaming the banks for interest rates?
Well, I don't know if it's blaming the banks. I think it's just smart business. It's like, why would you leave money on the table to the banks?
But that's what I'm saying. All that experience, and you're trying to tell me him and all those lawyers couldn't come up a way to come up with a business concept where he wouldn't have to file bankruptcy.
Well, how many Americans refinanced their houses this year when interest rates went down?
I have no idea. That would be something I'll have to look up. I really don't.
Like a lot of people, like a lot of people. My parents actually did it, and it's interesting.
Which is the reason why I didn't buy a house. But
a lot of Americans took advantage of that. Well, that's a choice, right? But a lot of Americans took advantage of those lower interest rates to refinance their house, which is really no different than Trump using tactics and pressure to renegotiate a deal. It's the same thing. To refinance a business deal using bankruptcy as a tactic is really no different than an everyday American citizen using a refinance with good timing, right? Or a good mortgage person to save them money. I mean, do you want to pay more money to the banks if you don't have to, or would you use any tactic you can to build your life while also not paying anything more than you have to the banks? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But the other thing I actually wanted to say earlier that I didn't say is, I actually agree with a lot of, it's really interesting to me actually that like liberals I wouldn't say they identify, but are identified with the left. Because what's interesting about true liberalism, I have a lot of like beliefs that are very liberal. Like I really do. Like liberals actually want less government typically.
Okay.
Liberals want less taxes. Liberals want more freedom to pretty much do what you want.
Yes, but what you're describing is now considered a classical liberal, because liberalism is taking on a whole new meaning,
whole new thing.
And so that's the thing. We need to be very clear about definitions when we're saying things. We need to be very, very, very clear. There's too many we can't paint things with such a broad brush all the time because it's not effective in getting things done and solving problems. And it's like, would you guys rather talk about the problems or solve the problems? Not you guys, but in general.
Yeah.
Would we rather talk about the problems and just identify them and keep on going around in circles? Or would we rather, what's better, to do that or to solve the problems? solving the problems. Everybody would agree
Well,
with
I think one of the biggest issues is whether it's big government or small government. The problem is that there is one group of people that are mostly affected by the solutions that keep coming into play.
And who's
Like
that?
I said, I'm not saying that the left is not willing or hasn't done anything wrong, or Democrats don't do anything wrong, and they're not demonizing Republicans or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that just like when real life plays out for a solution, you keep seeing that there are certain groups of people that have the ability to just do what they want in the solution. That's an issue for us.
But do you believe that nobody should be able to do what they want, or everybody should?
No, we're not saying that everybody should be able to do what they want. The issue is case in point. If you go to a place, fill out an application, and get approved for whatever it is that you got approved for, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a loan or furniture, whatever, student loan, whatever, you get approved. Okay. Then a whole bunch of people that look like me go through the same process and keep getting denied for an amount of different reasons, and it's all legal. When you look at the numbers, you have to ask yourself, why is it that everybody looks like me is getting denied for all these different reasons, and everybody that looks like you is getting approved or is able to operate in that arena?
Right.
What is the difference? So then you start pulling statistics. You start looking at stuff.
Is the only difference? Is the only difference race, or is there a lot?
It is. It's race. It's race.
Well, what I'm saying is,
like,
is that the only difference, or is there other differences and other factors that?
No. The factors of denial.
What I think would be the best solution to racism?
What's that?
Never being asked again what color anybody is on any form, period, whatsoever. No driver's
license.
license.
It doesn't matter, because as soon as I walk into a room, you see what I am. And this is what I mean by that. And I'm going to give you a real life experience here. Okay. In Baltimore, I know what police brutality and police harassment is, because the police did it to me and my cousins and everybody. I promise you, you have never been harassed by the police like me and my family have. I promise you don't. Okay.
I mean, I have been harassed by the police, but I'm not.
No. I don't. I'm talking about like,
but I can't
take you out your car, sit you on a cold sidewalk, put handcuffs on you, and you stay like that for a whole hour sitting on a cold sidewalk.
That's actually happened to me for multiple hours. That actually happened to me and 3 of my white friends.
Okay. So now, how often did that happen to you? Did it happen at one time because y'all was partying, or y'all was in the wrong area, or what?
No, twice. Okay.
So
traffic stop, average traffic stop, and then it turned into a get in handcuffs, sit on the side of the curb, and then
okay. So we're used to that.
Was kind of like had an attitude, and then the cop put him in the back of the car. We didn't see him again until the next day, and then the rest of us were cooperative and stuff, and ended up whatever reasons they had for pulling us over were just no big deal. But in the matter of I don't know what the deal was, but
okay.
But we had to sit there for like 2 hours, and it was really embarrassing. And we saw all the people we know driving by. I mean, it was just and
okay.
Very.
So my question to you is that happened to you, and
we were all white, but one guy handled it really poorly and got really aggressive, and then got taken out. The rest of us kind of cooperated through it, and we're more tactful. And
so is that a thing that happens all the time in your culture, where you grew up, people you hang around?
No, but something you said earlier that I wanted to touch back on now that we have the opportunity is, you said that a white person can't go anywhere in America and be singled out within Black culture or something of that nature. Is what you said.
No. Negatively impacted on your rights, and this is what I mean by that.
Well, hold on. Let me. I just want to. Well, actually, go ahead. Tell me what you mean by that.
Okay, this is what I mean by that. You can go to any bank. You can go to any restaurant. You can go anywhere. And 9 times out of 10, you are not going to be denied service because you're white. Period. In the story. You're not going to be put into a certain thing because you're white. Okay.
Why aren't there more white rappers?
There are. There's plenty of them. It's a whole buttload.
Plenty of them, but there's definitely more Black rappers than white.
No, there's a buttload of white rappers now. There's way more white rappers than Black rappers. That's a fact. Yes. But no, not now. Like it's been like that. The issue is.
Well, it used to just be Eminem.
No, Eminem was the famous one.
There we go. So that's the only one you could see in the
Yes.
face of it, right? But like,
Yes.
what I'm saying, well, all I'm saying is like, so like, let me give you one example from my personal life. So when I first when I was a kid, I went to a private school when I was in elementary school.
Mhm.
And we were broke. My parents were absolutely broke, but my mom like volunteered at the school and did all this stuff to like basically kind of like work off the tuition basically
Yes.
to go to a better school because we lived in a really like just a really rundown area. I don't, it was just a trashy area. It was just not good, and there was trashy white people and trashy black people and all type just trashy. It was just a broke area that we lived in when I was young because my parents had me pretty young as they were getting on their feet. And but my mom, worked really hard and volunteered at the school to get me into a private school, right? And through elementary school, but I was more of a rebel heart kind of guy. So in middle school, they sent me to a public school, and this was also as they kind of climbed into the middle class as well, and they were working jobs and stuff, and decent jobs. And I went to public school for the first time, and my first week at public school, it was a lot more. It was a melting pot. There's all types of people, right? And I remember this was in 7th grade, and within my first week, we were in gym class, and I just happened, they sat us in different spots around these different like circles in gym class, and I'm sitting in this one spot, and I happened to be sitting next to a girl that was positioned next to me by the teacher, and we're just talking, and I'm getting to know her because I'm like 7th grade dude, new to the school. Right. And, I'm just trying to get to know people. And so we're just talking, whatever. And she was, I think she's Asian she was like Asian girl. But I guess she had used to, so anyway, she was Asian, whatever. But anyway, so at the end of gym class, I go in the locker room and there's about 4 or 5 black guys in there. And I'm just cool with everybody. I'm just like, hey, it's all, I'm just cool with everybody. I give everybody benefit of that. I don't think white people are bad or black people are bad. I think there's just good people and there's bad people. And I need to see actions to determine that in my own heart. But so I go in there, there's 4 or 5 black guys in there, and, I'm just doing my thing. And one of them comes up behind me and puts me in a headlock. And then this other kid, his cousin at the time not at the time, but his cousin comes up and he just says, hey man, don't talk to any girls, blah, blah, blah. And he just wails on me like 2-3 times. And now here's the thing. In that moment, it was clearly because I was new to the environment and because I was white. Now that's how I felt. That's how it felt.
I got you.
Now I can't prove that, but that's how I felt. Now what's interesting is I actually eventually became friends because we had a class together and matured a little bit about a year later. I actually ended up becoming friends with the guy who punched me in the face and the guy that put me in a headlock because I integrated myself into the environment, the culture of the school, and I learned, I adapted to the environment, and and I actually at one point made an example of another kid that messed with me, but which you kind of got to do sometimes. But I got a text about 6 months ago that the kid who hit me in the face actually got killed because he shot somebody and somebody fired back, and he actually got killed a couple months ago. And so now the thing is, not only did he make me feel that, but now he just suffered the ultimate consequence for his decisions. But those are his independent decisions. And even though I felt like that happened to me from him punching me in the face a couple times and his cousin put me in a headlock because I was white talking to a girl that was in their circle.
Yes.
It never occurred to me to think all black people are racist or all black people in this area are racist or there's racism against me. It was just, this guy is just making shitty decisions. And now he's totally ultimately accountable for those decisions. But then here's one more example. When I was going through
hey, Chris, before you get into that, we're running out of time again. and now I need to know, where are we going with the whole show?
Okay, so I definitely want to say I understand where Chris is coming from. Chris is coming from a whole mindset thing. If your mindset is a certain way, racism doesn't exist. Okay, but his life experience proves that he can think that way because he has never been under a construct of racism.
I didn't say that.
When I say a construct of racism, I mean a actual systematic construct where You as a white man cannot do anything because the people that run the construct that you're operating in just don't want black people to live there, work there, make any money there.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a fine explanation, but where are we going?
Yes.
Where are we going? And actually, we're going to run out of time. We're going to get cut off again. I
think Kevin's frustrated.
I'm so
because
incredibly
I enjoyed
lost.
this conversation.
It's a great conversation, but it's got absolutely nothing to do with this past Tuesday
I know.
or anything that's going on.
And that was kind of my point from the very. Kevin, what was the last thing you said as we were hopping off? You said we're way off of topic, right?
Yeah. You told me to Kevin.
No, Kevin.
I forget how I said it exactly.
Well,
I mean,
I feel
the
like
thing
that
was,
me and Chris. I'm sorry.
yeah, but so basically, because I introduced the show, basically saying we're going to talk about the events of the past week, and I framed it. Here's what happened, and I understand where this whole conversation has gone, and yes, it does all relate, but we have not actually talked about any of the events.
Okay, boom. So this is actually perfect. What you just said is my point. I want to solve not only the problems that people were angry about when they broke into the Capitol. We need to solve problems in our systems for sure, for a lot of different reasons.
Yes.
Right, and we can definitely agree on that. For suppression reasons, for injustices done to groups of people like black people or women or other people, in specifically black people, from what you're saying and from your perspective, and that's a problem that you really want to address, right? And there's problems that other people really want to address right now, which is the fraudulent addition of counterfeit ballots, which is the claims of all the people that broke into the Capitol the other day, right? But do you see how when the media makes it into, they start pointing fingers and saying things about race and things like that? And do you see how just taking that and going into that and trying to unpack that is just a never-ending conversation that never gets to the root of the real problem, which is kind of why Kevin's getting frustrated with us, because we're like, because we just took the whole point of the whole thing and just went down this rabbit hole of racism, which never ends, because there will always be racist people, but they should be judged.
Well, you see what I'm saying? This is the problem with mindset, trying to say that mindset is the reason for racism, or is if we just don't think about race, there won't be racism. The problem with that is, and again, I can only go off of factual events. There is no leftist movement that's racist. It's just all social injustice for a group of people. And when this is what I mean by that.
What about the Smithsonian, whiteness thing that came out? I was looking at that and I was like, it was like working hard, like just certain things like that, like time management.
Well, that's not
whiteness, and that was the Smithsonian.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Social programs, and it was like
I'm talking about
it's crazy. And when I was looking at it, and I was like, well, if that's what it means to be white, really, that just is what it means to be like a good, hardworking person. So I mean, I would think that everybody would want to do those things, no matter what color they are. Like this, people are just human.
Well, this is what I mean by that. Like BLM and all the rest of that other stuff.
I think they have good intentions. Maybe some people that get involved, a lot of people that get involved with it, but I don't think that the leadership of it, or it doesn't have a track record of solving problems. It has a track record of a lot of collateral damage.
Okay, so
just like what we saw at the Capitol, same thing. Different.
And that's the issue. The issue is that a group of, you saw people there with Confederate flags, Nazi memorabilia, Auschwitz, all this racist
at the
stuff.
Trump rally?
Yes, it's on video. All you gotta do is go through it. There's a guy in the halls with a big giant Confederate flag. I mean, it's huge. Okay, and he's carrying it through the halls. Okay, they took down the American flag and put up the Trump flag. That's on video. You can look at it. So my question is I'm not going to demonize these people. I'm just going to ask a simple question. Okay. I will argue that America has a racist thing to deal with systematic racism exists, and I want to bring that conversation to the table.
Well, do you think?
Okay,
I mean, it's definitely on the table, but
yes.
what I'm saying is, does every other problem have to come to racism? If like,
when we start talking about certain things, it will. I know that's a big rabbit hole to go down, so I'm not going to go down that. But to answer your question, yes. So,
or is it just a convenient thing for certain people to control different people or avoid, or just so actually earlier what we said or what you said about what was it? The pharmaceutical companies.
Yes.
When they changed the opioid criminality of abusing opioid drugs to now it's a mental issue or a health issue. Once it started being, once the finger started going at them, the pharmaceutical, which is run by the government, now, okay, well, we don't want to start selling our opioids, so let's just turn the problem's definition into a health problem instead of.
Where did the pressure come from to stop them from selling it? It came from only white people. When this was going on with black people, we got locked up for it. It was not a sickness.
I know, but
now that white America is affected by the opioid epidemic and your economic status allows you to get the lawyers to sue pharmaceutical companies, black people don't have that power. We don't have the economic stability to do that. We don't even have the political power to do that. It's not in our community, but it's in white America's community. And guess what y'all did? Y'all went and got lawyers. And what did the pharmaceutical company do? Boom. That's what I'm talking about. That's racism.
Well, does opioid pandemic affect white people or everybody?
No, it affects everybody, but it only got changed when it affected enough white people with money, just like weed. Well, we use weed as an example.
Do you know that for a fact, or are you assuming that?
You watched it play out. Look at all the black people that are in jail for using heroin. It's not a sickness.
I mean, but aren't there white people in jail for using heroin too?
Not as many as black people.
How do you know?
Like there's more black people locked up for weed than there are white people. That's an actual
statistic.
But
there are both locked up for those things.
But it doesn't matter if they're both locked up if it disproportionately affects a certain group of people. That's what we're saying. Disproportionately affects.
Well, part of it could, I'm not saying it is, but what we would have to, to unravel that, we would literally have to go and look at all the individual cases and say, okay, did this person take these actions? Should they be accountable for these actions? Did this person do that? Did this person, or were they treated unfairly?
And the federal government does that. And the last time they did one, they did it in Baltimore. And you know what their report says? I printed the whole entire report out. I can even print you a page from it. And you know what they said in their report just on one subject? Right. They wanted to see how Baltimore police handle simple arrests in their street patrols. And in their outcome with these people riding around in the back of cop cars, they came up with a statistic that said in Baltimore, okay, a black man is 8 times more likely to be arrested and not convicted for simple actions versus a white person. But then they said when a white person does get arrested, they are 9 times more likely to get convicted because actually when they arrest a white person, he actually did something wrong.
All right. So how can we fix that?
How can we fix that? We have to look at policing in those communities. That's what we're trying to bring to the table. That's what BLM is for. That's what all the activism is for, because we want to bring the argument to the table.
Okay. I got you.
That's all I'm saying. What's
the root of the problem? If they didn't think they could get away with that, then they wouldn't do that. Right. And so if they believe they can get away, and I'm not saying all police, because I know a lot of great police officers.
All police, it's not all police.
And I actually don't think I know any really shitty police officers. I know a lot of different all the police officers I know are great people and they're very diverse.
Yes.
From what I've experienced with them and their track record and their network and all that stuff. So,
and just real quick, not for you to lose your point, but there were off-duty police officers that they're identifying in the mob from Tuesday.
Okay. So, but the thing is, so police officers, so certain racist police officers, okay, I don't even want to say racist yet, but certain police officers disproportionately arrest African-American people right? And especially
Yes.
in certain areas, it happens more than other areas, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the question is why? Okay, so now let's take it to the next. So the police officer, okay, so that's one way we can fix it.
And it's in the report that
bringing
explain how it
awareness,
happened.
like that's not okay. But then
Yeah.
the next level is, okay, boom. So who's next above the police officer that allows it to be okay? The justice system, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now the justice system needs reforming. And then
Yes.
who's above the justice system holding them accountable? The federal government, right? And the
Yes.
other branches. And so
Yes.
if they're not holding the justice system accountable, which isn't holding those bad police officers accountable, and then it's trickling down to the people disproportionately,
Yes.
instead of worrying about all this, why don't we go to the root of the problem and
Well,
break
that's
into
the whole
freaking
point. That's the whole
Capitol
point.
and
We're
make
not.
these politicians-
That's the point. The media doesn't get to call these actions. That's the problem. That's all. That's all talking points and distractions.
Mhm.
Every single left activism is trying to get to the government to be entertained for their argument. We're not trying. We don't care about.
Okay,
Huh?
they're trying
Yeah.
to go to the government, but why does it seem like the left is handing over more power to the government while going to the government?
Because
difference between
because the
so
same
how is-
media. Because the same media that people are listening to is the same media that they're going to get their information, which is still propaganda. Case in point, how many of your
you could tell me, I could ask. So before we even had this conversation, the first question that we all should have asked each other is, where do you get your news?
I get my news from my own personal deal.
I know, but where do you primarily, like, what's your primary trusted sources of news? If you ask anybody that, you don't even need to have a conversation because you already know what they're going to believe. You see what I'm saying? Because
I actually read like across the spectrum. I
Right,
still look
and
at
that's what
Fox,
people
even
should
though I know Fox is not going to entertain a BLM agenda or anything like. I still look at Fox because I need to know what somebody that is opposed to my point of view is listening to.
right.
And it's not like they're just going to go out there and just lie. They're still going to have facts, but it's going to be facts about a certain community that I don't have access to. So
I have a question. If you were to let's just say I said, hey, Michael, not me, but just everybody.
Yes.
They're like, hey, Michael, right now I'm a genie. I'll grant you a wish. You fix our systems, but I need a solution. I already know that we know the problems. Problems are all laid out. Everybody knows them. It's really, really obvious at this point. Right?
If I had 3 wishes, I want term limits. I want everybody that's in office right now to be fired, and we hold a public election and vote all new people in. Period. End of story. The 3rd wish, I would just want $1 million just for right now. So I could
wait. Back up. Repeat what you just said. Whoa. You have 3 wishes. What are they again?
I just want term limits. Period. All through the whole entire legislative branch. Period.
Limits?
I want term limits. Yes.
Okay.
I want term limits. And then everybody that's there right now, you're fired. You got 1 year to clean your business up and you're done.
New people. Got it. Okay.
New people. Now, whether all 50 states got to hold elections at the same exact time or whatever, but it don't matter. You're all gone. Okay. And we could kind of probably put a little, if we got some newbies in there that haven't served more than 2 years, we could probably grandfather them in. But literally all them old people, I don't care, Maxine Waters, Mitch McConnell, all of them, you're going to buy.
Including
have a nice day.
Including Joe Biden, probably, because Joe Biden's been there for 47 years. So including him.
And have a nice day. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Have a nice day. Yes.
Drain it, right? Okay.
Our Congress, our legislative branch.
What's the next one?
Yes. It's just them 2. That'll literally fix the government.
You got a 3rd wish, and I heard you say you want $1 million.
Oh, I just want $1 million so I can make some badass investments with it.
Okay.
Like
boom.
literally, I don't want.
Let me stop. Yeah. Let me stop right now. You want term limits?
Yes.
So less government and better government.
Yes.
You want to basically
clear out Congress.
You want to purge our government of everything now.
Yes. Anybody that has not served more than 2 years in the current legislative body, you're gone.
Okay. So hold on. I want to reframe that and then tell me if I'm accurate.
Yes.
Number 1, you want term limits on all new people coming into government.
Yes. And future
and future forever. And number 2, you want to eliminate all existing people in government and replace them with new people. That's number 2. Yes. And number 3, you want $1 million so you can get a head start in life and do good things with it.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. All right. Hold on. So here's the crazy thing. The people who broke into Capitol went in there Now, I'm not saying it. Now, here's the thing. Let me backtrack this and I'm just going to give a disclaimer.
Yes.
Donald Trump and everybody, and I'm very much in that group of Trump people, right? Like all the maggots or whatever you guys call them. Like I'm in those groups and stuff like that, right? I'm not saying I agree with 100% of anybody's anything, but
yes,
I'm in those groups because I agree with a lot of it, right? So
yes,
the interesting thing is that there's a couple of slow, and would you also just an opinion thing? Would you also just say that the media is propaganda? You said the media is propaganda. You already said that.
Yeah.
So a couple of things.
It's all commentated. They like for the first 5 minutes, you give you a fact and then they commentate for the next half an hour.
Toxic.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So if you look at the core of like Donald Trump's movement, there's a couple of really core values that everybody at that protest the other day represented. And I got to disclaim this really quick again, which is what I was about to do. I got to disclaim this and say in the Trump circle, everybody agrees that at the heart, most people in BLM have great intentions, but because it's not organized at decent, it's not organized to a point. Antifa and people can come in and cause a lot of damage and rile things up and start to change things that causes more damage than actually helps solve things. And
you just made the point for what happened at the Capitol.
What happened at the Capitol, but I'm saying it also happened in the BLM protests too. So it's happening to both sides. Being infiltrated for sure. So there is some toxic waste in there, which is Antifa people or whatever that are just want to cause mayhem. It's like in Batman when you know, the Joker's burning all that money, and then Alfred's like, Master Wayne, some people just want to see the world burn. You know,
yes.
That's
and I think
people.
that
So like,
that's those people that was
right?
at the Capitol. I think most of those people wanted to see the world burn. I don't think they really
wanted
to
Trump
change
people,
legislation.
Because let me tell you Trump's slogans. Number one, fake news. He calls them out for being propaganda. Number two, drain the swamp, which was your second wish.
Okay.
Right? That's number two. And number three, all the people that broke in there or that went in there the other day that were the Trump people following the other Antifa, whatever people that were mixed into it.
Well, they weren't Antifa, but yeah.
Well, we don't know that.
It was just people. Yeah.
So some people are bad, and some people in BLM were bad because they caused a bunch of damage over the summer, and some people in this were bad. But most of the people, the core value of the movements in Antifa just wants to be recognized like, hey, look, we need to fix some of our systems and screw the government because there's racist things that are still happening in this country and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
We all agree with that. Okay, we all agree with that. On this side, the core thing is saying, screw our government. These politicians are corrupt. So the thing is, these politicians are corrupt. We need to drain the swamp. We need to go in there and we need term limits on these people. And we want to get freaking Joe Biden's ass out of office because he's been there for 47 years. Literally a third, I think like 60 or something. I could be a little off. Like 60% of the entire existence of the United States of America, Joe Biden's been in office. And there's still problems that we're talking about. So it hasn't fixed it. No track record there. So it's like, we want to drain that swamp, just like you just said. You want to drain that swamp. We want to do it for certain reasons. You want to do it for certain reasons. But the root of the problem still on your side and my side points to corruption in our government. And
I've always stood by that point.
So why is it an issue that we broke into the Capitol and tried to hold our government accountable?
You want to know why that issue is that issue?
Why?
Because again, that is the antithesis of white privilege. Again, my people don't have that kind of movement. We don't have that kind of authority or power.
So what if BLM and Donald and MAGA people, Trump people, together went into the Capitol and marched?
You want to know why we're not going to do that together? For the same reason that the same people that ousted Kaepernick and said that he was anti-American because you shouldn't protest like that, but yet y'all want to go to the Capitol and do that. You want to take down there. You told Kaepernick he disrespected the flag, but you take down the American flag and you put the Trump flag in its place. Like, come on, man. That's hypocrisy to the utmost.
Well, hold on. Let's unpack that because the Capitol building, I don't think was like, if you even look at it, like after, like there was a video, like they resumed Congress, they resumed the session and everything later in the day. And if you look like they didn't like destroy the building or anything. Like they didn't.
No, I'm not saying they destroyed the building. What
I know. I'm not saying you said that.
Yeah. If we would have did that, if I and my cousins would have went to that building, because again, the precedent has been set by America. BLM was there. It was a peaceful protest, and they had like 100, 200 security guards up there just standing in position already. Okay. And then they gave the word and they broke up that protest. They broke it up. They maced the people. They did everything. All those Trump supporters there acting way more rowdier than the BLM protest that happened prior to. And look what happened. And again, these are facts. America keeps showing itself to us. You see what I'm saying? It's like when Obama was in office and they demonized Michelle Obama for being risque or a little bit not conservative or whatever because she wanted to wear a dress without sleeves. I was waiting for somebody to call her a whore. But
I mean, those are opinions, but I'm just saying, like,
but the same people.
All I'm saying is, what do you want solved? And you told me what you wanted solved.
I want it solved.
You had 3 wishes. You had 3 wishes, and you chose term limits.
Yes.
Drain the swamp and replace it with new people.
Yes.
And $1 million for yourself, which is also funny because most people criticize Donald Trump because his dad gave him $1 million, but you just asked for it. So
yeah, why not?
So you can't condemn a man for doing that. And by the way,
I didn't condemn him for. I didn't condemn him. Yeah,
I'm not. You didn't condemn him. You're right. You did not do that.
Yeah.
But but what I'm also saying is, you asked me a question earlier and I didn't get to answer it. You asked me, how does that track record of like his deals and using like all the tools he's used, not just bankruptcy, but just negotiating.
How does it serve the public trust? Yes.
How does that serve the public
trust and leadership? Yes.
Well, I'll tell you how is look at,
because America can't be run like a business.
Well,
we already know that because America has shown us and built the system not to run like a business.
Well, why has Donald Trump accomplished more peace deals in the Middle East where they've never been accomplished than any other president? I believe it's because he's a great negotiator, and I believe that skill set comes from his business experience. Would you argue with that?
Okay, I'll give you that point.
Okay. So if it
I'm still trying to figure out how do you explain away his divisiveness?
What
because the country has never been more divided under any president outside of Andrew Jackson, probably.
But is that because of Donald Trump, or is that because of the media?
I will never blame the media for anything, because the media doesn't tell the Republicans what to think. That's why they think what they think. That's why friends that I have served with have called me a victim, have called me stupid or dumb. Oh, yeah, that opinion you have of racism, Michael, that's not your opinion. That's CNN's opinion, because you look at too much CNN.
Well, the media does. I mean, Fox News tells people what to think.
So my racist experience in the military and in this country in general is not facts. It was given to me by the media. All these black people around this country that have lived this racist life, that have had these racist experiences. When we try, John Lewis, God rest his soul.
Well, I'm not saying that, but I don't know if there's enough evidence on. Okay, so if the media gets everybody riled up about racism and then they call Donald Trump racist enough time, they don't have to back it up, because people can. So can you prove to me because this country is founded on innocent until proven guilty also right now for everybody. We all want that, I hope. We all want that, I hope.
This is what I'm saying.
I'm not saying that we're flawed. But
let me jump in here myself, just to get, this is anecdotal evidence, not statistical evidence. But every single person I know who hates Trump also uses CNN as their primary source for news.
I'm not using. Not you.
Well, okay. Yes. I should say everybody except you and Javon.
Yes. This is my question. This is my point. You can't get black people riled up to riot if we're already living the experience, which no white person in America can identify with. I don't care what education you have and what you've read. You just can't identify with the black experience.
Do you want us to identify with it?
No, we want you to listen to us so we can get these issues solved. The people that have the power to listen to us do not. Vice President Pence went on national television and denied systematic racism and just denied racism altogether. So how can people like me?
Fine. We all agree on that too. So question though, there was one predominant person in the Black community, Ice Cube, who kind of did a test in a way. He did a test, and he said he proposed. The reason I respect this about Ice Cube is because he went straight to the point to solution building, to building solutions.
Yes.
And he, with a package of solutions or ideas leaning towards solutions, went to Joe Biden and went to Trump. And you're saying you want the people in power to listen.
Yes.
One side listened and one side didn't.
You want to know why? Because Trump, that's been his stilo. He's always been around Black. Okay. I'm going to tell you something right now why we know racism when we see it. Okay. It's very disrespectful and it's very assuming. Okay. You name one non-entertainment educated person that Trump brought to the table for a solution. Non-entertainment, not an actor, not a rapper, not nothing. Somebody like Michelle Obama.
Ben Carson.
Are you serious? He's already a Republican. You can't use him.
Why not?
Because he's not on the opposition. Ben Carson is not a Democrat. He's not one of our people. He's already on Trump's side. He can't talk to us.
Well, but you said
what I'm saying is you're using Ice Cube as an example. Find me another Black person that's not an entertainer. If you can just list me one Black person that's not an entertainer and he's educated and he has political savvy, then we can talk about this. But we can't because every single Black person that you're going to name, like Steve Harvey,
Thomas Sowell,
Lil Wayne, Ice Cube,
there's a lot of people. But what I'm saying is, all I'm saying is, you just said you want the people in power to listen. Ice Cube, as a leader, whether he was self-appointed or appointed,
he's not a leader. You're saying leader. He's not a leader. He's an entertainer. He's not a civil rights activist.
What's the definition of leadership? The definition of leadership is influence. And Ice Cube has a lot of influence as an entertainer, which is why he stepped out, and that's why it made news.
Okay. Name one entertainer that changed your mind about finances or the way you vote. One actual rapper or rock star.
Okay, let me throw this out there.
Nobody, but that wasn't what you said.
Okay, Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell. It's Thomas Sowell, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he became educated in finance, and he comes from the Black experience that you and I've talked about all the time.
Yes,
but through that education, he came to learn. He changed. Basically, he switched from one side to the other because of his education. And honestly, I would say he's definitely a leader. The man is brilliant.
Yeah,
but because he now sees, let's say, liberals and Democrats as being wrong, are you now saying that, well, then we can't count him because he switched sides? I mean, I'm trying to understand.
Now he doesn't count as a Black person, and if you're saying that, then that means that the other side.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is.
But that's what Joe Biden said too, because if you don't vote for him, you're not Black.
He had to apologize for that later. But what I'm saying is that
why is that okay?
Republicans and conservatives have a core principle that they have a philosophy that they run off of. Forget the politics. Forget Republican, Democrat. Okay, people with money or people that use the financial system in America think a certain way, have a certain type of philosophy, and I get that. Okay, I get it. Okay, social justice does not care about that. We don't want people to give us free money or anything like that. But for some reason, all these rich people, Black, white, Puerto Rican, green, purple, whatever, have this philosophy that Democrats and social justice are beggars of money. Okay. I know Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders was talking about free college and all the rest of the other stuff, but that's not what I care about, because it doesn't take money to stop shooting unarmed Black men in the streets. It don't take money for that.
It
does not take money to stop locking up Black men for crimes that you keep letting young white men go.
Well, it takes training. It takes training, and training takes funding.
But we're not asking nobody to give us money for it. We're going to the government to see if you can fix it. Just like you put the Voters' Right Act of 1965. We didn't ask y'all for money for that. That was a social justice problem for Black people. And we went to the government. Right now, what's going on is that I get it. The news keeps twisting stuff around. I'm not worried about the news. BLM was not news. It was just a group of young Black people trying to activate a lot of people and try to get them to understand that shooting unarmed Black people in the streets is wrong.
And I agree with you on that, 100%.
And a lot of people agree with that. But the issue is they got demonized.
Well,
because
let me say something, because I actually made a video the same, like literally as soon as I found out about the George Floyd thing happening, which is kind of interesting that nobody's talking about that anymore.
We still are. We're activists. We're still doing it.
Well,
the media is not, but we're still.
What I'm saying, that's not. That wasn't my point. My point is, I spoke out about that as soon as that happened. I spoke out about the George Floyd thing, and I wanted to stand with people because that was an injustice. I don't care if it's a Black person, white person. I don't care who it is. It was put in front of everybody and spotlighted, and I don't care who the person is. That is wrong. And anybody that saw that is wrong. Before it started, everybody talking about racism or anything like that, just as a human thing, it was wrong. And I agreed with that. And I spoke out about that in a video I actually made. You can look back on my Facebook and find it. Maybe you watched it. I don't know. But the thing is, after that happened, when BLM started to do the protests, and then the protests started turning into riots, and then that started turning into fires and people getting hurt and people getting all these other police officers that weren't the guy that did it getting just, cars flipped over and beaten and hit and all these other things. Now, even though I wanted to stand on that side to fight that injustice, now it's putting me in a compromised position to have to choose between, well, the reaction that's happening now is way out of control and it's not right. You don't fight an eye for an eye, it makes the whole world blind. And that's a biblical principle. And I measure my life against truth from the Bible, not truth from anything else. It's truth from the Bible. And like, there's that truth, there's my truth, and then there's like the truth, which is in the Bible, in my opinion. I'm a man of faith.
We agree.
And there's just a lot of things. Like, number one, Joe Biden and that whole entire party, I don't ever hear them mention God at all. And I'm measuring truth in God, and I want to know I can trust that person that I'm voting for. Donald Trump and his entire establishment.
Well, he said it on the night that he won the election in a couple of speeches.
What was that?
Joe Biden said it on a couple of speeches on the night that he supposedly won, when they knew that they won, but all the turmoil.
All I'm saying is, it's just there's just a lot. It's like
it is a lot. It really is a lot.
Oh, okay.
And can I just give you one more example of?
Actually, no, you can't.
Okay.
We're at a point where we're about to get cut off again. So let's wrap. If we could wrap it up, that'd be great.
Okay. So I definitely hear Chris, what he's talking about. I think that there probably were a lot of people that in that core group that wanted exactly what I just named for my three wishes. I get what you're talking about. My only issue is that none of those people really want to talk to me. If you look at a lot of those people of who they argue with or discuss issues with when they talk about the left, is usually with another like white liberal or something like that.
Well, that's interesting because I'm one of those people, and this entire call I've been talking to you, not Kevin.
Yes, and that's my thing, because we're talking. Like, do you know how many white people just unfriended me on Facebook within the last 6 months because they don't want to hear what I'm talking about? And I'm not being disrespectful on Facebook. I'm not unfriending anybody, but I have Republican, white servicemen, and retired veterans that are literally unfriending me because all I'm doing is asking them a question of, do you think police brutality is a real thing? Do you think, and they're just unfriending me and they're going over to, what is it, Parlay?
And it is a real thing, but the thing is, who are we more confident is going to solve problems? And we've had a guy in political office for literally 40 something years that hasn't fixed the system that everybody agrees in different ways that is broken.
Yes.
One side is trying to put back in office, and also they do not want to get people out of politics. They want to keep their people in. They want to keep Nancy Pelosi in the House. They want to keep Joe Biden in office. They want to keep all the old people, all the old white people that have run things.
They're the problem.
Trump wants to get all out, and he wants to help rebuild something new in a movement. And so, like, that's why I don't understand why, and that's why I think that it stems from a lie from the media. That is, the lie is that Donald Trump and his movement to literally just drain the swamp and rebuild a fair system. That literally, that's it. Like, and eliminate the fake news, the propaganda, drain the swamp, all these people that haven't fulfilled their promises, and then let's build a better system for America. It's like, why would people not want that? But
because because
the devil is a lie. And here's the thing I want to just say this last thing before we jump off.
Yeah.
I did a lot of, the thing is, this is a spiritual warfare thing. And that's why it's so confusing, but God is not the God of confusion. It says that in the Bible. And so because this is so confusing, to me, that right there tells me all the confusion is not from God. So I need to actually kind of dial back and I need to analyze things. And the first thing is I want to understand my enemy. And so to understand my enemy, which if this is a spiritual warfare and it's not coming from God because it's so confusing and there's so many contradictions, then it's coming from the devil. And so if that's the true enemy and the devil's causing the corruption, the devil's causing the lying, the devil's causing the confusion around all sides, then I want to understand him and how he works. And I know that the devil was at once an angel that fell. And there were he was an archangel, and there were 3 archangels. There was Michael, who was in charge of war. There was Gabriel, who was in charge of information and communicating. And there was Lucifer, who was in charge of the arts, the media. That was his role as an angel and archangel. He was, listen, no, seriously, he was the beautiful.
No, I got you.
He was the beautiful one, the one that was vain, the one with all of that because of that very thing that he wanted to be God. And then that is why he fell. And so you have to understand that he hasn't changed his tricks and he is a lie. And so what are his tools? As an archangel, it's the same tools. It's media, it's music, it's news, it's Hollywood, it's movies, it's propaganda. Those are the tools of the devil. All things consumed by the media, right? Now, I'm not saying that there's not good media, but I'm saying that the media is a very easy place for the devil to sneak corruption in because it is his area of expertise as an archangel in the ranks of God before he fell. And he took that with him. You follow me? And so if that is the enemy, and we know that the enemy uses that specific thing, media, to accomplish his agenda, who is the media so mad at the most? It seems like the media is on the side of Biden and everybody else. It seems like they always point their fingers at Trump, no matter what happens. If there's a peace deal in the Middle East, Trump's this, Trump's that. If BLM does
but before Trump, it was before Trump, it was President Obama and his wife.
But the media didn't really attack them that much.
Oh, yes, they did. Yes, they did. They attacked I don't know what out of that man. Then they for the last 2 years, he couldn't get anything passed in the House. I mean, in the Senate. I mean, come on, man.
Okay, fine. I'll give you that. So he wasn't able to accomplish anything either. But my point is, to me, the enemy is not. I'm not your enemy. You're not my enemy. I love this picture. This is something I saw months ago.
Yes,
it's one of my favorite little memes that I saw.
Okay,
that's the fear, man. That's the fear. That is the fear.
But the problem is I want to get to that.
They want to keep us divided, and that's the fear. And what is the easiest way to divide people?
Fear.
And how do they do that? By getting us in our emotions, because when emotions high, logic is low.
Yes.
And so if they can get us into our emotions and trigger us with things that they know trigger us, and I'm not saying these things don't have some truths in them, but if they know they trigger us and they're weaponizing them at specific times, like elections, every time, to trigger people, to get them to fall into an emotional way of thinking so they can sway them a certain way and overcome logic. To me, that whoever's doing that is the enemy. And whoever's doing that is clearly the people controlling the media. And from every piece of evidence that I can see at this election, seems like that's the Democratic Party, and it doesn't seem, or it seems like it's the left side of things that's leaning more that way and controlling all of that. And
okay, we are actually going to wrap up now.
yeah,
Yes.
I think that's a good way to end.
But hey, Chris, want to thank you for being on the show.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for being on the show, Chris.
Awesome
Thank you.
conversation tonight. I'm sure actually this is going to become 2 shows is the way I'm looking at it right now. So I don't have to censor anything out. Okay. So that is the show for now. And maybe Chris will have you back in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to come back, bro. You got to come back.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll come back anytime, man. And
I'm just here chilling with my man K-Dog.